Well, good afternoon. You're on CSB Talk Sport Business on Talk 100.3. Lachlan Kitchen and Neil Lodger here. And everywhere we talk, every business, every school, every university is talking about artificial intelligence. They're talking about ChatGPT, and you do get the feeling that more people are scared of it than are embracing it.
Which is so true, because we as human beings always have this fear of unknown. When you don't know something, the first reaction is to stay away from it. And only later do you realize that this little beast can be befriended and probably made your pet, if you know how to use it right.
Well, our next guest is the Senior Director at Meta for Artificial Intelligence. He leads the generative AI engineering organisations to build the best foundation models for all sorts of text, images, 3D, all that sort of stuff. Manohar Paluri, the Senior Director at Meta for AI. Thank you very much for joining us here on Talk 100.3.
Thank you, and great to be here.
Great to have you here. Are you popular at parties? When you go out socially and people hear about what you do, are they, tell me more, what is Meta like? What is AI?
Recently it has become a thing, yes. Yeah. Until now, for the past 20 years, I've been working in AI. It's been more of a recent thing, yeah.
Yeah, for the past 20 years, when you were working in AI, like you mentioned, it was kept under wraps. We didn't know what was coming up. But all of a sudden, there's this upsurge of AI in literally almost everything that we are seeing. And now people are making note of, this can be done, this can be done. Now people are making note of, this can be done, this can be done. Will it take away my job? And that's the first question, isn't it?
I don't know if it will take away your job, but I'm more confident that it's a new technology that is going to change how we interact with machines. Mm-hmm. It's a new computing paradigm. And I have seen various shifts in AI. The 2012 shift was into deep learning.
Okay.
This latest one is in generative AI, where machines are actually able to do kind of human level text generation, pretty interesting, creative image, video generations. Mm-hmm. So it's a pretty strong creative tool, in my opinion, that many folks can leverage, and it's yet another tool in our repository. So I think we're still good with our jobs for a while.
For a while. He says for a while. And when the man from Meta says this, you need to take this a little too seriously. But Manohar, tell me, we saw very recently there was an app that came about, and you pay, a few dollars, and it transforms you into some Greek gods, some Chinese superstars, and all of that with just a couple of pictures of yours. Is this just the beginning, the tip of the iceberg of what AI can do?
So I don't know, what was the first time when you were actually using art program in a computer? For me, it was MS Paint.
MS Paint, that's exactly what it was. Yeah,
right?
We're from the same generation.
Yeah.
Probably.
So until MS Paint, it was the watercolors and the crayons. Mm-hmm. And the moment I got MS Paint, part of me was, oh my God, I don't know how to use this.
Right.
The other part of me was, now I had a clean paper and unlimited imagination. Mm-hmm. I just think of it in the same way. The particular app probably you're referring to is Lensa. And then it's just you want to see yourself in this particular case in a particular character, right?
True.
So to me, having a caricature of you or having an artist do it, it's much, much more harder, and the friction to actually having it is much higher. Now with Lensa and equivalent apps, it's made most of your imagination much more of a reality. Now, having said that, these capabilities are not infinite and not fully frictionless.
Okay.
So they are limited in many ways. Mm-hmm. 1 out of 10 prompts, as we call it, actually work.
Okay.
So it's one of those creative processes that you have to go through, which is you try it doesn't work. You try it again, it doesn't work. So you kind of do prompt engineering and make these models behave the way you want them. So it's still nascent, but over the coming years, I expect a lot more control, a lot more consistency in how artists use it, creators use it, people use it to express themselves.
We speak to a lot of people at universities, and they often talk about how so many students are in high school, they're at uni, and they're going to be doing jobs that haven't even been created yet. You're an example of that when you were probably going into high school, the idea of Facebook probably didn't exist, or maybe did. No, it didn't exist. And the idea of then being a senior director in artificial intelligence, what did you want to do at high school, and what did you study? How did your education and your dreams lead you to this job?
You're jogging up some old memories there. I think there was one thing that was very, very inquisitive for me. My dad used to always talk about. He used to bring a bunch of scientists to our house and make me talk to them when I was in my high school.
As punishment?
No. It was, in high school, you're searching for your passion, right?
Yeah.
He was a professor and a banker later. So one of the things that he wanted me to do was pick something that I was passionate about. And curiosity, inquisitiveness was one of those things. And you always ask who your role models are in your high school. And some of them turn out to be very rarely politicians, but most of them are your superstars.
Right.
In our case, in India, it's cricketers.
Yeah.
It's not good at sports. So the rest of the things that were left were actually one of them was scientist. So for me, I always wanted to be a scientist. Now I didn't know which science I was going to pick. So one of the things was computer science, because in 2000s that was the one that will get you a job.
Right.
This was a famous thing. So went into computer science, but then I realized that picking computer science actually meant opening 30-40 doors, because you could go all the way from software engineering, information technology, compilers, all sorts of things. But one thing that was most curious for me was teaching machines. And you could teach machines using language, that was called natural language processing. You could teach machines using vision, that was teaching machines how to see pixels and images. So computer vision and generating graphics, that was computer graphics. So there were all of these fields, and that's kind of the story, as like inquisitiveness and curiosity leading to a job towards scientist, and computer science leading to a job in AI. And the funny story is I wanted a job that lasted really long. So I wanted something that doesn't work. So I have job for life.
That's smart.
And then
I think what you're actually highlighting is you're inquisitive, you're always wanting to learn, your mindset's adaptable, you're seeking opportunities. And in that, there's a Venn diagram somewhere that's led you to this great job.
Yeah. And irony is, when I graduated, most of the folks wanted to do pure software engineering because the paychecks were 3 to 4 times higher. Whereas I turned down some of those offers for AI, where the paychecks were actually much more smaller. Now it's a different story.
Now, given you work at Facebook, do you have access to everything that we've searched for and whose pages we've looked at?
Absolutely.
Surely you do.
I mean, his T-shirt reads "Machine can see," and when we are scared of keeping a camera on our laptops on.
Are you able to look at how many dog videos I've probably watched over the years? Is that
the cats and dog videos are definitely very, very popular,
I know,
along with humans.
My views don't come up, but a dog video definitely garners more than 40,000 views every time it comes up, bro.
Yes.
So that's how it is. But tell me something. Now that we're trying to understand AI and trying to understand the capabilities that could come off in the future, what could be the future jobs that students today who are probably at school could be looking at and maybe make careers out of?
I think you should take a page from history, right? I don't think there'll always be new jobs, but you should reimagine the current jobs, in my opinion. A lot of what we are doing in society, there is the mundane part of it that is perfectly predictable and repeatable,
right?
And then there is the human creative element to it, which you bring to the table, whether it's the job that you guys are doing here, thinking about questions that, for me, I have to think on the feet in terms of answering and even carrying on this conversation. If every one of your show with anybody was predictable, then there's probably somebody else who can do it, whether it's a machine or...
The show probably should be organised, but with a producer like Pranav, it's completely unpredictable.
Which is a good thing. We can keep our jobs then.
So that's kind of how I see it. I think a lot of the successful jobs will be jobs that are more creative in nature, where they adapt to the new technology waves. And I think it will also end up being an additional set of powerful tools we have to do our jobs. Like what we do today. I mean, previously, to listen to music, you would have to get the tape, put it in the tape recorder, rewind it to the particular song, then fast forward. You remember this, right?
Yeah. That was me last week.
What do? You basically search and you're like, I want this version, but with more volume. That's easy. But not only more volume, it's like different style, a faster version of it, and so on and so forth, depending on what you're working on. So you suddenly make the same experience much more richer, much more in control, and that's kind of how I see technology evolving, rather than taking away jobs.
Right.
I don't think it will take away many jobs. I mean, there will be some jobs that will be automated.
Yeah, look, I watch a lot of videos of a businessman called Gary Vee, and he always talks about there were blacksmiths that changed the hoofs on the horses, but then they just became car mechanics because the car got it's just human nature. You've got to just change with the times.
Yeah.
It's just that it's just changing so quickly.
It is.
I think that's the biggest
problem.
challenge.
Yeah, I mean, probably it's a generation that has seen the transformation from landline phones to pagers to mobile phones, which were a foot long, to literally tiny mobile phones, and then cameras coming in, and now everything that's automated. We've probably seen a transformation which probably was unheard of, unseen of, and probably
By
that's
any
why.
generation, yes.
Yeah, and probably because of which the fear factor also is not as huge as it is probably by that was probably faced by the generation before us, or the generation after us that doesn't even know what existed a few years back.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think we all in some sense are afraid of some change, right?
We are.
So, but the nice thing is, I think we, as well as the next generation, I'm not yet that old, but let's assume the next generation here, I think they are going to be born with more adaptability than us. We ourselves are, for that matter.
Right.
Just 20 years ago, we are used to carrying these big phones.
Bricks, literally.
Yeah.
Now, the next iPhone, why is it so heavier? Right, is the question that we ask. So we kind of tend to adapt, and the waves of technology are hitting us faster,
Right.
which is exciting to me specifically.
Now, with so many changes that are happening, there is we almost have answers to everything, but there is no answer to this one question, and that is, how do I get a blue tick on my Instagram page?
Yes. Can you buy it? So you can actually buy it in Australia? No.
No, not yet.
Twitter you can buy.
Twitter
in
you can
Australia.
buy. Yeah.
I am not a product person, sadly. So
See,
I
How
can only
very,
answer-
how
he's-
very
he's prepared for
convenient.
that answer.
He knows who down the hall to speak to, but but he won't help us. Look, we know how busy you are. We do appreciate you coming in and sharing some of your insights. And I dare say, when everything changes again in 6 weeks, we'll probably want to get you back in here to discuss it even further. Manohar Paluri, the Senior Director at Meta for Artificial Intelligence. Thank you very much for joining us on Talk 100.3.
Thank you for having me.